So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily MCQ Practice. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs through a set of 4 to 5 MCQs. Now, I know that some of you who have been following this lecture series for quite some time, well, you know that we had suspended this lecture series for the month of June. And there was a reason behind that. The thing is that, well, we do make this lecture series. We have been making this lecture series, but along with that, we have also been posting these MCQs with the solutions on Telegram channel. Now, my reasoning was that some people were comfortable just reading the MCQs and then just reading these solutions and then preparing these MCQs by reading only. They don't require these videos. But what I've found out, and what some of you also have told me, is that, well, you need this lecture series because it had made a good routine. You like watching MCQs rather than reading them. Okay, you prefer watching MCQ discussion rather than just reading them and reading the solutions. Okay, so some of you have reached out to me and have requested me to restart this lecture series. So I'm doing that. It is a good routine to have. Okay, so make this lecture series a part of your daily routine, because some of you were habitual of this lecture series. So that is why I'm restarting it. For those who are new to our channel, well, this is my request. Make this lecture series a part of your daily routine, because these 4 to 5 MCQs covered on a daily basis from the topic of current affairs would add up to more than 1200 MCQs by the time you're ready for your prelims examination next time. And 1200 MCQs from the topic of current affairs are more than sufficient. Okay, so make it a part of your daily routine, make it a daily habit of yours. Okay, so today we'll be covering 16 July 2025's current affairs through a set of 4 to 5 MCQs. So let's begin. Okay, question number 1. Consider the following regarding PM Kaushal Vikas Yojana. It was launched in 2015 under Skill India Mission by Union Ministry of Labour and Employment. The only flaw of this Yojana is that it does not offer recognition of prior learning certificates. More than 40% of trained beneficiaries under this Yojana have been women, and so far 1.6 crore people have been trained under this scheme. So how many of the above statements are correct? Now look, the reason why this scheme was in news was because it has completed 10 years in 2025. That means surely it was launched in 2015. And it was a part of Skill India Mission. But this statement is false. Okay, it was not launched by Union Ministry of Labour and Employment. In fact, skilling is a separate ministry altogether. There is a separate ministry dedicated to skill development, and that is known as Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. So this ministry actually launched this scheme. So first statement is false. Okay, now this Yojana was complete. Okay, this second statement is false because this Yojana gives recognition of prior learning certificates, RPL certificates. Now what are RPL certificates? Some of you might be confused in that. You see, the thing is that, well, under this Yojana, various courses were available. Skill development courses were available. There were long-term courses, short-term training courses that were available, which basically provided skills for 21st century jobs. Okay, so, well, these courses were available. But then there are some people who belong to certain communities which are already skilled. Okay, there are some traditional weaver community, potter community, blacksmith communities in India that have been in touch with these skills for generations. A child that is born in that community is trained at home only. Okay, so that person is already skilled in that craft. He or she doesn't require any formal course for that. Okay, but he requires a certificate to be employable in jobs in various companies. He requires a formal degree, right? Therefore, Government of India decided to provide these people who are skilled in their families. Okay, they were skilled informally, but their skill level is good. So informally skilled people would be tested, and if they pass the test, they would be given this prior learning certificates, recognition of prior learning certificates. These certificates would be used as formal degrees or formal diplomas by these people to get jobs. So this Yojana was basically lauded this Yojana, I mean, people praise this Yojana for providing RPL certificates. So second statement is false. Okay. Now, one more reason why this Yojana was praised was that it focused on inclusive growth or inclusive development. And how so? Well, it focused on traditionally backward communities like SCs, STs, OBCs. Plus, around 45% of the beneficiaries under the scheme were women. So this statement is correct. And yes, it has trained 1.6 crore people. So only one statement is correct. The answer is A. Question number 2. Consider the following statements regarding PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana. Under the scheme, 100 districts shall be identified for agricultural transformation. Criteria for selection is productivity, cropping intensity and credit level. These 100 agricultural districts shall be developed through convergence of 36 schemes under 11 ministries. Districts shall be ranked on 117 parameters. Okay. So under PM Dhan Dhanya Krishi Yojana, well, this first of all, this scheme was announced in this year's budget. Okay. But it was just announced. Okay. It has been launched formally now. Now, under this scheme, 100 districts would be identified. Okay. Now, these districts would be those districts where agriculture is fairly underdeveloped. Okay. These areas lack agricultural facilities for agricultural development. Okay. Now, the criteria for selection of these districts would be that if they are low in productivity, if cropping intensity is low, if credit availability to farmers is low. So, based on these three criteria, these 100 districts shall be identified. So, first and second statement are correct. Clear? Now, what will happen in these districts? Well, the thing is, the reason why many schemes fail is because government has multiple schemes. Right? And these multiple schemes are under multiple ministries. And there is a lack of coordination, collaboration between these ministries. If there is a coordinated approach, all these ministries coordinate because most of these schemes have similar goals. So if they'll coordinate, better outcomes would come. Okay. Therefore, lack of coordination is the reason why many of these schemes fail. So government decided that this won't happen under this Yojana. Okay. So what government has done is, well, they have identified 36 schemes, agriculture related schemes under 11 ministries. Well, one nodal officer shall be appointed in every district. And that nodal officer shall take care or shall make sure that these 11 ministries collaborate with respect to these 36 schemes. Clear? So this statement is also correct. Plus, well, the thing is that healthy competition is always good. So all these 100 districts would be involved in healthy competition. So there would be 117 parameters based on which each and every district would get a score. And based on their score, they will get a rank. And every district would want to get a better rank. So healthy competition would be introduced and better outcomes are basically promised. Okay. Or better outcomes are expected. Clear? So all four statements are correct. The answer is D. But let me give you some extra information about the scheme also. Well, the time period for this scheme is 6 years. Okay. So it will run for 6 years starting from 2025-26. And the total budget allocated for this scheme is 24,000 crores. Okay. So yeah, the answer is D. That's question number 2. Now question number 3. Consider the following statements regarding outer space travel. When the spacecraft re-enters the atmosphere, it follows a vertical path rather than a glided one for touchdown accuracy. At the time of atmospheric re-entry, the spacecraft is usually traveling at speeds up to 27,359 kilometers per hour. Splashdown is generally preferred over landing on the ground. Now, we all know that our Indian group captain Shubhanshu Shukla, okay, very proud moment for us Indians. Shubhanshu Shukla was aboard Axiom 4 mission, right? Under which he traveled to International Space Station along with 3 other astronauts. Well, they did their experiments, they did what they were told to do, and now they had to come back. Now they came back, they landed safely. Okay. Now, this landing operation has been in the news, and the science behind this landing operation is also discussed in various articles of Indian Express and Hindu. Okay, therefore, we should be aware of the science of landing of spacecrafts coming back to Earth. Okay, now hear me out carefully. When the spacecraft re-enters the atmosphere, okay, it does not follow a vertical path. It does not come vertically down to Earth. It follows a glided path at a certain angle. It does not come in a vertical direction. It enters the Earth in this glided path at a certain angle, okay, and a very low angle. That is why, though International Space Station is just around 400 kilometers above the Earth, but when the spacecraft is coming back, it travels around 5,000 to 7,000 kilometers. Okay, because it is not coming vertically down, it is coming in an orbit form, glided form. Clear? Now, first statement is absolutely false. When a spacecraft re-enters the atmosphere, it follows a vertical path. No, it follows a glided one. Clear? Now the thing is, when the spacecraft re-enters the atmosphere, it enters at very high speeds, like 27,000 km per hour. For safe landing, its speed has to be slowed down. So, well, we use many parachutes to slow down the speeds. We use many parachutes at different levels. One at 18,000 feet, the other at 12,000 feet, and so on and so forth. So that when the spacecraft is about to land, it slows down to the speed of 25 to 30 kilometers per hour. At this speed, it is safe to land. Clear? Now, landing is of two types. One, you land on the ground, or the other is you land on a water body. You're thrown into an ocean. Okay? Generally, well, landing on water is known as splashdown. You just drop in a water body. Clear? Splashdown is considered safer than ground landing, because ground landing requires advanced braking systems, because even 25 to 30 km per hour speed is very high for landing. Okay, and you also require accuracy to land on the precise runway. That is not the requirement in splashdowns. You can land anywhere in an ocean. Okay, so splashdowns are generally preferred because they are natural shock absorbers. You don't require advanced braking systems. You can land anywhere, so you don't require that accuracy also, right? You don't have to precisely land on the runway. So it is a preferred way of entering, landing, touchdown. So second and third statements are correct. 2 and 3 are correct. The answer is B. And last, but definitely not the least, question 4. Which of the following statements are correct regarding aspergillosis? Aspergillosis is a bacterial respiratory infection caused by Aspergillus, a genus of bacteria that includes hundreds of species. Treatment for this is antibiotic medications like voriconazole and itraconazole. Okay. Aspergillus is found in soil, decaying vegetation, compost, dust, old building materials, air conditioning systems, and bird droppings. Select the correct option from below. So listen, the thing is, all three statements would have been correct if instead of bacterial, they would have written fungal, because aspergillosis is a fungal infection. So everything is correct. It is a respiratory infection. It is caused by aspergillus, but aspergillus is not a genus of bacteria. It is a genus of fungi. It's a fungi. Okay, so this infection is a fungal respiratory infection. So this statement is false. And when you are suffering from a bacterial infection, well, then you are given antibiotics. That's true. But when you are suffering from fungal infections, well, you are given antifungals. Okay. So treatment, when you are infected with this disease, you are given voriconazole and itraconazole. These are antifungal medications, not antibiotic medications. So this statement is also false. Okay. And yes, aspergillus is generally found in soil, decaying vegetation, compost, dust, basically a damp environment, high, hilly, humid environment. Okay. If you are not following environmental hygiene, then, well, this fungus would grow in different areas. And if you are surrounded by pigeons and those pigeons have a habit of, well, dropping, right? So this also provides a fertile ground for aspergillus to grow. So this statement is correct. So only 3 is correct. The answer is C. And with that, we conclude today's session. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. But it would add more value if you're consistent and regular with this lecture series, but you also do not forget to revise this lecture. And by revision, I mean taking a look at written detailed solutions to each and every MCQ we just discussed. Now, these solutions are provided in our notes, and these notes are available on our Telegram channel. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section just below this video. So make sure that you check that out. Okay. On that note, I'll be signing off with the promise of seeing you again fairly regularly now on a daily basis with another set of MCQs. Thank you, everyone.